Dave Welcher says, I know that you're a great admirer of Elon Musk, and he's certainly doing great things, but a lot of his business dealings seem to be dependent upon the kind of crony capitalism that we conservatives decry. Can you square that circle? Not really. I can partially square it. You could make the case that, look, he's developing a launch system, and NASA is a customer. I mean, it's not like... Let me think about this. He's taking NASA money to help him develop the. I'll get to Tesla, which I know a lot less about in a minute. He's people are like upset because he's getting money from NASA. It's like, well, he's a businessman. He should just use his own money. Why are we paying for Elon Musk and why are we paying for SpaceX? But on some level, this is kind of like Boeing building a fighter for the Air Force. I mean, he is providing a service in prep on some level. Certainly, given the state of the current U.S. space program, assuming we have that a national space program is something that the government should do, and I kind of think that is one of the few things that I think legitimately you can spend some money on. But we haven't had one for a long time. So if you're going to do it and you're going to take that money and use it to develop the private system with all of its competitive advantages and Blue Origin and Virgin and all that other stuff, then it's more almost like a prepayment or a cooperation rather than a government subsidy. Now, look, I know that sounds kind of sophistry, and it probably is. But where are we with this? I mean, Elon Musk right now is so far ahead of the field. He's sent resupply missions to the space station. He's landed rockets vertically. Other people have done some very impressive things, but no one's done everything that he's done. And he's got a Dragon capsule that's flown perfectly a couple times, and we need to get people back into space again. And Elon Musk and SpaceX are the only people that can do it now. So if they are going to be servicing the space station, which is owned by the U.S. government, we put almost all of it up there, but they allow us to put some Americans up there every now and then. The Russians do. But if Elon Musk and SpaceX are going to be servicing the space station, then NASA is a client. It's not like, here, take this money and take some more money and take some more money. It's like, take some of this money. He's put a lot of his own money in there. Build us something that'll get us up there, and then we're in business. As far as Tesla goes, I know almost nothing about Tesla, but I suppose it's the same thing. I know that people who have Teslas love them, and that they're that they may in fact make a market for an electric car. But if he's just taking government money for it, no, you really can't square it. It is crony capitalism, and the fact that it's crony capitalism for a cause I certainly think is just doesn't make it good. So I don't want to come off defending something here. I mean, on some level, the charges are exactly right and fair. He is taking government money, and we don't like government support. Should be able to do it on his own. But again, he is developing something in cooperation with his client. It's going to be his primary client. And it's not quite the same as, paying people like, for example, Solyndra. $500 million goes into Solyndra so that they can start making solar panels so that President Obama can have his political donut. But the federal government and the American people would not have gotten anything back from Solyndra. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. The Solyndra thing, the bailout of Solyndra, the American people didn't get anything out of that. Even if Solyndra had succeeded, they wouldn't really have gotten anything out of it. We have a space program, a federal space program, and I think it's worthwhile. I think we will soon, NASA will just disappear like an appendix, just become basically an administration. And right now, if you talk to guys in private space, while there's still some things that NASA does well, they'll tell you that NASA's main job, at least until very recently, was to keep people from getting into space, with all these regulations and all of this nonsense. But, I mean, it's a fair question, Dave. I don't like it. And the fact that I like him and I like what he's doing doesn't mean it's not a contradiction. But it is what it is, right? I mean, does it lessen my respect for him? Here's, I guess, the final answer. Here's my final answer. He says he's going to go to Mars in a decade, and he's going to do it with his technology and with his rockets, and undoubtedly with some government assistance. So since I'd like humans to go to Mars, and since Elon Musk seems to be the only person with a vision to do it, he is kind of in a unique position of the kind of cooperation with the government that Boeing has, and all the contractors for the Apollo program had, Grumman and North American Rockwell and all these guys. They were taking government money to put men on the moon, and I thought going to the moon was a good idea. If Elon Musk needs to get these government subsidies in order to make space commercially available, then I don't think that's so much of an ends justifies the means kind of thing, which I've never bought into, so much as it's kind of a, priming a pump for to start an industry that is hopefully going to take over. You can't have private space if no one can get into space privately. And what he's done is nothing short of miraculous, and what these other guys are doing is nothing short of miraculous. And by the way, that's kind of what NASA was originally doing, right? I mean, it was originally NACA, the National something Council on Aeronautics, National Advisory Council on Aeronautics, I think, before NASA. It was NACA. And NACA did a lot of fundamental research, and one of the things they did was they just tested airfoils. So every single airfoil, the airfoil on my Long Easy, the airfoil on virtually every plane that flies it's a NACA number. It's a 6209 airfoil, and this kind of fundamental research, I think, is an appropriate thing for a government to do. It's not terribly expensive, and I think NASA will eventually will get to that place where they're more of a regulatory agency than anything, and frankly, I like to think that wouldn't be very long-term, because once you get out there, what do you need regulatory agencies for, right? That's the nice thing about space. You can't really pollute that environment, right? I mean, what are you going to do to space? You leave your nuclear rocket leaves a radioactive trail in a vacuum of trillions of square miles with no one around and filled with radiation anyway. So, yeah, I want to get us out there. And if this is what we have to do it, then it's what we have to do it. I'm not defending him, and I'm not going to say it's okay in this case, but it is a bit of a unique case, I think. Anyway.